On August 16, 1977, Elvis Presley passed away at the age of 42, and millions of people all over the world went into mourning. But almost as soon as the news broke, rumors started that he faked his death and went into hiding. On today's episode of Strange and Unusual Tales, we're going to dive into the history of this conspiracy theory.
Just a moment ago, a big surprise hit the internet. Could Elvis Presley, the famous rock legend, still be alive, hiding as Pastor Bob Joyce? The cheekbones and the strange habit of scratching his left ear have fans wondering. Are these similarities just accidents, or is there something else going on? Let's dive into this mystery, uncover the secrets, and find the shocking truth. The strange life of a rock and roll legend. Imagine if Elvis Presley, one of the biggest music legends, didn't really die. What if he came back as a quiet pastor named Bob Joyce? It might sound crazy, but this idea has gotten many people interested. Then one day, an FBI file called Project Blue Suede was found, hinting that Pastor Bob could actually be Elvis, hiding in plain sight. People have noticed that Pastor Bob looks a lot like Elvis. Both have high cheekbones, a strong chin, and even their eyebrows arched the same way. These similarities make some people wonder if it's more than just chance. It's not just how they look. There are videos online showing both Elvis and Pastor Bob scratching their left ear in the same way. This small habit has made people curious. Could it just be a coincidence, or is there more to it? Fans are watching the pastor closely, looking for more clues. Both men also share the same height, shoe size, and body type. With so many small details adding up, it's easy to see why people are interested. Could two different people really share all these traits, or is there something else going on? Their voices are another thing that people can't ignore. Elvis had a deep, soulful voice with a warm Southern accent. Pastor Bob's voice sounds a lot like his. Whether he's speaking or singing, there's something about his tone that reminds people of Elvis, especially when he sings gospel songs. Pastor Bob's singing in church has also caught people's attention. Listeners can't help but notice how much he sounds like Elvis. Some have even made side-by-side voice comparisons, and the resemblance is clear. Is it just a coincidence, or could Elvis's voice still be heard today through Pastor Bob Joyce? The more people look into this mystery, the more curious they get. Fans keep pointing out new similarities and making connections. Some say it's all just a strange coincidence. Others are convinced that Elvis never left us and is now Pastor Bob Joyce. But the mystery goes deeper. Could the truth be right in front of us? Bob Joyce and Elvis have features that are hard to miss. One of the most noticeable things is their hands. Both have large hands with long, slender fingers. These hands aren't ordinary. They strummed guitars, waved to fans, and showed emotions in ways that feel familiar to Elvis's followers. When Pastor Bob gestures while preaching, some people say it's just like how Elvis moved on stage. It's not just the looks that make people think. People close to Pastor Bob often talk about his kind and gentle nature, just like how Elvis was described. Even though Elvis was a huge star, he was known for being humble and close to his fans. Similarly, Pastor Bob is known for his warm and friendly nature, making those around him feel comfortable. Two men, linked by humor and music, start to share more than just similarities. Echoes of a king. There's also a fun side to both Elvis and Pastor Bob. Pastor Bob has a sharp sense of humor, just like Elvis did in interviews and on stage. Even the way they move is similar. When Pastor Bob walks or gestures while speaking, it's easy to see how he looks like Elvis. Are these just coincidences, or do they mean something more? People are starting to believe there might be a deeper connection between the two. For some, it feels like Elvis lives on in Pastor Bob, either in spirit or in some other way. One thing that makes this theory stronger is their shared love for music. Elvis loved his guitar, and Pastor Bob plays too. People have noticed that Pastor Bob uses guitars that look like the ones Elvis played. And it's not just the look. The way Pastor Bob plays feels familiar. His style reminds people of Elvis's unforgettable performances. But it's not just about playing guitar. It's the feeling behind the music. Elvis put his heart into his performances, especially when singing gospel songs. Pastor Bob does the same. He uses his guitar to express his faith, often focusing on spiritual songs in his church. This shared love for gospel music makes the connection even harder to ignore. So, is this just a coincidence, or could there be more to it? Maybe it's just two men with a love for music and a similar style. Or maybe Elvis's spirit lives on through Pastor Bob's songs and gestures. One thing is clear: these similarities keep people believing there's more to the story. In his early days, Elvis had a small gap between his front teeth. Some thought it made him more charming, but he decided to fix it to look more polished. He used dental caps to close the gap. This small change showed how he wanted to look perfect for the public. Years later, people began noticing Pastor Bob's teeth look a lot like Elvis's after the dental work. The way his teeth are shaped and how they shine seem to match perfectly. Some say it's too close to be random. To them, these matching teeth are not just a coincidence. They could be proof. Pastor Bob's teeth appeared about 4 years after Elvis was said to have died in 1977. This makes people wonder if Elvis faked his death to escape fame. For believers, the teeth are more than just a funny similarity. They're proof that Elvis left his old life behind and became Pastor Joyce. As doubts mix with beliefs, the past and present blur in unexpected ways. A pastor's secret. Elvis was born in 1935, and Pastor Joyce's birth year is listed as 1952. That's a difference of 17 years, which makes it hard for some to believe they could be the same person. For skeptics, this age gap is a serious problem that raises doubts about the whole theory. They argue that it's just not realistic for someone to hide their age like that or pretend to be someone younger. Even though the age gap is a big obstacle, people who believe in the theory have their own explanations. They say that the physical and personality similarities between Elvis and Pastor Joyce are just too strong to ignore. Some suggest that Elvis might have altered his documents or even had some cosmetic changes to hide his real age and take on a new identity. After all, they point out that the entertainment world is known for creating illusions, so it's not impossible that he found a way to rewrite his own story. But that's not the strangest part. What really keeps believers hooked is how much Pastor Joyce and Elvis seem to act alike. Supporters of the theory say that their voices sound very similar, and they share the same calm and friendly personality. They argue that the way Pastor Joyce speaks and behaves matches how Elvis might have acted if he had found peace and chosen a quieter life. To them, it makes perfect sense that someone as famous as Elvis would want to leave the chaos of fame behind and live a simple life as a pastor. This theory has sparked a lot of debate. On one side, believers think the dental similarities and matching behaviors are strong clues that Elvis and Pastor Joyce are the same person. On the other side, skeptics see the 17-year age difference as a deal-breaker. For them, the idea that Elvis could fake his death and live under a new identity is just too far-fetched. But even those who doubt the theory admit that it's a fascinating story that makes people think about how much we really know about our favorite celebrities. And here's where things get even trickier. Fans have always been passionate, sometimes blurring the line between admiration and obsession. The thought that Elvis might have escaped fame and is still alive taps into the idea that even the biggest stars might want a second chance at life. Supporters of the theory believe that if anyone could pull off such a dramatic change, it would be him. They imagine that after years of pressure, he might have chosen to start fresh and live a peaceful life, far away from the spotlight. But what if it's not just about evidence? Some believers think this story goes beyond facts. It's about holding on to the hope that Elvis didn't just disappear forever. Whether or not the theory is true, it offers a comforting idea that maybe he found happiness and freedom in a way no one expected. Even skeptics can't deny that this theory captures people's imagination Because it's not just about a mystery. It's about believing in the possibility of a second chance. This whole debate has created a conversation that seems to never end. People love to discuss whether Elvis really became Pastor Joyce, or if it's all just a wild story. The truth may never come out, but that's part of what makes the theory so exciting. As long as fans continue to believe, the idea of him still being alive will keep sparking curiosity. Whether people are convinced or just entertained, this story shows how much we love mysteries, especially ones that let us keep the memory of our idols alive. Deeper looks reveal more connections, making a mysterious idea seem possible. The gospel according to Elvis? And that's really what makes this theory stick around. For believers, it's not just about proving a point. It's about keeping his spirit alive in a new way. Even if Pastor Joyce isn't Elvis, the idea that he could be offers fans something special. A way to imagine that their favorite star didn't disappear, but instead found peace. In the end, that hope might be the real reason this theory refuses to fade away. Could Elvis have really pulled off such a big trick? Or is the difference in their ages proof that this is just an interesting story? The truth depends on who you ask. A lot of people point to the timeline of Pastor Joyce's career as a clue. Public records show that he started preaching in 1981, just 4 years after Elvis's death in 1977. For some, this timing feels too perfect to be a coincidence. Fans of the theory believe that Elvis, one of the most famous people in the world, might have faked his death to escape the stress and pressure of being a superstar. The idea is that he later came back as a quiet pastor, someone far removed from the spotlight. People who enjoy these kinds of mysteries say that Pastor Joyce showing up not long after Elvis's death feels like more than chance. For them, it fits the idea that he wanted a simple, peaceful life, far away from the fame that followed him everywhere during his career. If this theory is true, becoming a pastor would have been the perfect way for him to live the kind of life he always wanted. It's well known that gospel music was very close to his heart, and as Pastor Joyce, he could continue sharing music in a new way. The idea is that instead of being a superstar singing for massive crowds, he could still sing, but in church, serving people in a quieter, more personal way. Fans of this theory find it hard to believe that Pastor Joyce's rise to attention so soon after Elvis's death is just a coincidence. They think it all fits together too well. He disappears from the public eye, and a few years later he returns as a pastor living a simple life. But what really makes people curious isn't just the timing. It's the idea that maybe this was all part of a bigger plan. The story goes that Elvis, tired of being famous, found a way to live peacefully without having to constantly be in front of the public. If this plan is real, it allowed him to focus on his faith, helping others, and enjoying a quieter life. Whether you believe it or not, the timing keeps people wondering. Did Elvis really leave us in 1977? Or did he just find a new way to live? And the similarities between Pastor Bob Joyce and Elvis only add fuel to the fire. Their faces look remarkably alike, and even the way they behave is similar. People also compare their singing voices, saying they sound very close to each other. Those who believe the theory say that these details are more than just random similarities. They see them as pieces of a puzzle, with everything fitting together in a way that seems too perfect to ignore. For them, it's not just a curious idea. It feels like real evidence of a hidden truth. Imagine a fresh start away from fame, where a quiet life holds new meaning. Hidden identities. Think about how often celebrities try to escape the pressure of fame by disappearing or starting new lives. We've seen it before. It makes you wonder, could he have done the same thing? It might sound far-fetched, but for some people, the idea that he found peace by becoming Pastor Bob makes sense. After all, he was known for his love of gospel music and spirituality. Maybe becoming a pastor wasn't just a coincidence, but a natural choice for someone like him who wanted more meaning in his life. One reason this theory is so appealing is that it offers a different ending to his story, one where he didn't die young, but instead chose to live quietly and happily. It gives people hope that instead of being another tragic celebrity tale, he found a way to escape and build a new life for himself. The thought of him living peacefully as Pastor Bob makes fans feel like the king of rock is still with us, even if in a new role. But not everyone is convinced. Some people think this whole idea is just a wild fantasy. They argue that any similarities between him and Pastor Bob are purely coincidental. According to skeptics, things like facial features and personality traits aren't enough to prove such a big claim. They also point out how difficult it would have been for him to fake his death and keep it a secret for all these years. In their opinion, the idea that he is Pastor Bob is just wishful thinking, a creative story that doesn't hold up under closer inspection. However, for others, this theory is too interesting to let go. It offers a happier alternative to his sad ending. If he really did fake his death and find peace as a pastor, it would mean that he escaped the pressures that so often destroy the lives of famous people. Fans who believe the theory like to imagine that instead of being lost forever, he found a way to start fresh and live the kind of life he always wanted. But this isn't the only reason people hold on to the idea. For many, it's hard to accept that someone as special as he could just be gone forever. The thought that he might still be out there, even living under a new name, gives people a sense of comfort. It's the kind of story that makes you think about second chances. What if he really found his second chance as Pastor Bob? What do you think? Is Elvis alive as Pastor Bob? Or is it just wishful thinking? Comment, like, and subscribe to join the debate and keep the legend alive.